Hello. Maybe. Yes. Hi. Hello, everybody. But yes, last time we played this, we had just gone into the sewers with the entire small army of humans, vampires, and stuff, and our goal was to try to take out the vampires that were hiding down here. They managed to kill every single fucking one of the poor humans. Even the one that I told wasn't going to die. He's dead. Always feel bad about that, right? That's like the one guy you look for afterwards. TikTok is mean. It's very hypocritical that it so easily promotes nothing wrong with half-naked women, but it completely promotes half-naked women, and then I like to think I've made a few bangers and they've gotten about 100 views. That's it. So, I don't know. But yes, so here we are, and we just walked in, and we found the surviving vampires. I'll read this page as a recap. I also got to get better about uploading these things to YouTube. I just did the other one. Somebody's been watching them. It blows my mind. So I feel bad that I've really been slacking on uploading the Twitch videos, and I'm done with them. Anyways. Yes, this is Key, the sheriff. I was starting to think we're the only ones left, the sheriff says. I'm glad the two of you made it out of the death trap. He gestures at a circle scorched deep into the floor. One of the fugitives we followed stepped on this and disappeared. We'll head back and round up the other ones who weren't destroyed for the questioning. That's you. He cranes his neck to look behind you and Jordan. Is Kashif back there? Something I need to ask him. He's, not with you? Jordan asks. Key shakes his head. I'm gonna need some fucking water. This bitch is empty. Ugh! I am thirsty. Key shakes his head. Shit. Either got himself destroyed or he cuts himself off. We'll find out soon enough when we tally up the damage out there. Daphne is sitting sullenly on a small metal chair in the opposite corner of the room. She's recovered some of her haughtiness since the interrogation. Looking at her now, you have little doubt that she really is the privileged child of Quebec City, as she claims. The captured coterie leader is still in chains, closely guarded by one of Key's ghouls. A ripped piece of cloth binds her mouth to keep her from uttering any further commands, and setting what few mercenaries remain against each other. So some are still alive, but almost all of them are dead. She glares at Daphne with barely disguised hatred. Does she think the girl cut a deal? If you know Key, and I wish I did, you'd bet he's playing them against each other on purpose. We need to move before it's too late, a familiar voice says from the other end of the room. You step inside, and while you're not entirely surprised to find Heinrich Lang was discovered among his fellow Tremere, the fact that he's stripped naked and shackled to the wall is rather shocking. Deep wounds score the Primogen's arms, chest, and legs, seeping sluggishly in twisting rivulets of vitae, snaking downward, collecting into a small trough at his feet. An open box on the table beside him contains several vials with a dark red liquid. It doesn't take an active imagination to realize what's been going on. What in the kink did I... Hello, Loon. Welcome, welcome. You have to listen to what I'm saying, James. Lang insists, pulling at his restraints. You're not seeing the bigger picture. James? Fade wonders. That's interesting. You know not to call me that, Heinrich. Key growls, palming a thick wooden stake. Another word and this goes right through your heart. Fascinating. Whoa, we need to calm down. Lang's the victim. Oh, is he? But he was hiding under the sewers and helping kill the people that we were amongst? I don't think he's a victim. This doesn't make any sense. I thought Lang was advocating for the Tremere to return to Ottawa. Why would he turn against them like this? Am I dumb as rocks? What the fuck? He was helping them, right? He was there with them. We captured him. He was with the Tremere. What the fuck? What? How stupid are we? Wait, what bigger picture is he talking about? Something about this stinks and it's not the sewer. We can't trust the thing Lang says. Yeah, fine. Let's not upset Key. Let's not ask what this James deal is. See, Heinrich? Key says. Oops, that was more like Key's voice than what I originally said. Even Silas is not buying your bullshit. He pulls one of the vials of blood up and holds it into the light of the room's single lamp. Lane wouldn't be here unless he chose to be. Jordan stares at Key, aghast. He's cuffed to the wall. Looks like he's bled out for hours now. How could you say that's what he wanted? Fade barks a quick laugh. Jordan says that like he's never heard of a masochist before. We've seen much worse than this, done consensually. So maybe you were right, Loon. I thought this was Key interrogating him. Guess not. You roll your eyes. It's not an appropriate comparison. You know it. You whisper. Of all the warlocks I've ever met, Key says, Heinrich is the most devoted to the study of kindred vitae. He's experimented it on his own for decades. Why the shackles then? Jordan asks. This isn't okay. We can't just leave him like that. Of course not, Key says. I'll be taking him in for questioning. We've discussed this already, Luke says, cutting into the conversation. Corliss wanted any survivors to be brought directly to her, no exceptions. This hunt is my jurisdiction, the sheriff growls. Your sire. So maybe I misunderstood what was going on. I guess the Tremere were doing this to Lang. I still don't trust a word he says. I don't. Your sire may speak to my prisoners after they've been questioned. Great, Faith says. Just what we need. A pissing match between Key and Corliss's pup. Well, but I like Luca. I actually have to like Luca, or we don't get a sex scene this game, and at that point I might as well start over, right? Luca shakes her head, unflappable. Rundle has been gone for weeks. In the prince's absence, the seneschal governs his domain until such time as he returns or is formally replaced when someone declares praxis. Her words sound rehearsed, like she's been expecting a situation like this to develop. There's no formal ruling to that effect, Key says. And I certainly wouldn't be the first of us to question Corliss's right to seize praxis this soon. Kindred history is littered with the corpses of ambitious vampires who thought to usurp their prince's throne. Are they seriously going to fight over this petty nonsense after what just happened? Fade says. Fade asks? Oh, it's falling back into the trap of says. Okay, growls. Good. Says. Be more diverse. Straighten them out, Silas. Ooh, I secretly don't trust Corliss. I do secretly don't trust Corliss. So maybe I should choose that. I'm gonna get some water really, really fast, though. I'll be right back. I'm parched. You caught me. Oh, it's balloons. I fucking love balloons. Alright, I am back. Alright, yes, we want to... Well, I'm very tempted to choose this because I don't actually trust Corliss at all. But it seems like Luca might, and I quite like Luca. Rolls in every fucking winter. Oh no, really? That's terrible. Jesus, I'm sorry. We need to maintain order in Arundel's absence. True. If the Seneschal directed the hunt to bring any prisoners to her, that's what needs to happen. Well, sure, that's logical. Luca, Key led the hunt and got us this far. What harm could have come from letting him do the questions? That's not what that says at all. Anyways, Lang's been through a lot. What possible benefit could we have with tormenting him? I think Lang should stay in Key's custody for now. Lang should be taken to Corliss first. Instructed. Fuck. Go for Luca. You are new here. Yes, hello, Vex. Welcome, welcome. Did I say welcome back? I didn't mean to say welcome back. If I did, that's probably just an instinct. Let me see what my relationship is like with Luca. 75. That's pretty good. I just don't trust Corliss, though. I don't. I'm really tempted to do this. I secretly don't trust Corliss. Why not? I'll try it. Why not? Silas. Oh, did that hurt her? 72. It only went down 3%. That's not that bad. We could lose more. That's okay. Silas. Luca starts to say. She looks bewildered that you would take the sheriff's side over your sire's. We need to maintain order. Oh, it hurts. Oh. I know these are uncertain times, but we can't allow the whole system to collapse around us. We've been lucky so far that all this political infighting hasn't given the mortal governments a target, especially the Second Inquisition. Do I need to remind you how they burned the Sabbat out of Montreal? I was there, child, Key says. Rundell understood the threat posed by the SI more than any of you, and he appointed me to keep the peace. Corliss will speak to the prisoners in good time. For now, they will remain in my custody. Luca looks like she's going to start arguing again, but then thinks better of it. That is true. What Key said is true. Key is, I don't know. I like Key. I trust him. Is that a little squawker? Couldn't tell. Spooky. It is a bit of a spooky game. Luca. Yes, Luca looks like she's going to start arguing again, but then thinks better of it. Oh, it hurts a little bit. I'm sorry, Luca. I thought she didn't trust Corliss. What the fuck? This bickering is an infantile waste of time, Lang yells. It looks like he's finally had enough. I'll answer whatever questions need asking, but first you have to listen to me. Our followers in Elysium are under attack. The Anarchs waited for you to send all your forces down here before they moved in. Wait, what? Jordan asks. What is he talking about? Fade stifles a chuckle. I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, but that's a little too look behind you, an obvious distraction for me to believe. We should listen to him. A short Nosferatu woman in the corner mutters. She seems shaken and quiet, so hesitant to speak that you'd almost forgotten she was there. Key glowers at her, and she shrugs. What would it hurt? It wants to distract us so he can escape like the other one did, Key says, stalking up to Lang and staring him eye to eye. How would you even know what's going on topside right now if you've been shackled down here to bleed? Your story has more holes in it than you do. That's true. That's true. He might be telling the truth, Key. If Ford wanted to attack someone at Elysium and he heard about our hunt, then this is when he'd do it. True. If that circle on the floor can really teleport someone, it'd say anything to distract us and flee. Also true. Why would the Anarchs attack Elysium? That's a stupid question. Every now and then we ask some really fucking stupid... That's a dumb one. How do you know, Key? Talk to me. I talked to Key. The fuck? I can't be sure of anything. Lately, Key says. But he claims that he's been down here for more than a full night. Either he's lying about that, or he's lying about the Anarchs. Either way, we can't trust a word he says. You're assuming I have no way of communicating with the outside world while I'm down here, Lang says. When have you known the Magi to rely on something as pedestrian as cell phones? That's enough. Key growls. He waves all but two of the remaining mercenaries back into the sewers. Luca and Jordan, I need your help to collect any kindred who haven't been destroyed. Silas will assist me with our friend, Heinrich. There's a key next to the vials, Lang says. It takes you a moment to browse through the dark, stained tabletop and find a tiny silver key. It's been saturated in gore and stuck to the wood. You have to pry it up with your fingernails. Yuck. Hello, Wyvern. Not much. Not much, really. We're in this little cell with good old Key and Heinrich Lang, who has been chained to the wall. And he's now telling us that the Vampire Elysium has been attacked while we are away. We don't know if we want to believe him. Ugh, Fade says. I'm never going to get these stains out of my occult robe. He pauses. Then again, I guess I can just kinda lean in to the whole mystic persona. What's better than a generic occult robe, I'll tell you what. Blood-splattered occult robes. True, Fade. I feel like I'm stumbling out of Fade's voice. Oh well. Takes a little bit of practice. Not us chained to the wall. Disappointing indeed it is. Oh dear. Stepping carefully around the blood trough, you reach up to slip the key into the iron shackle. It looks ancient and reminds you of one of Alicia Gray's exhibits on medieval torture devices. Ah, Lang says when the device finally springs open. Free again. He hobbles behind the tables and retrieves what you presume to be his clothes, pulling a deep black shirt. Deep? Deep as in like cut deep? Because there's only one shade of black. Otherwise it's a shade of blue or something. Over his head. When he's fully dressed, he leans over the table and starts plucking vials of blood from the collections and stuffing them into his pockets. Can't let them go to waste. He mutters to himself. That sounds a little suspicious. Why are we just letting him do what he wants? As you wait for the eccentric Primogen to collect himself, prisoner or no, you can't parade him through the streets, blood-soaked, ending the nude. You avert your eyes and notice Key speaking quietly with their lone sewer rat. From what little you can make out without intentionally prying into the private conversation, it sounds like they have a long history together. It's somewhat surprising. Despite being a Nosferatu himself, Key usually does best to avoid the others of his clan. To your knowledge, he's rarely associated with the locals. But there's a familiarity between the two that cannot be denied. Not so much a likeness as a bond. Could Key be her sire? Now that would be interesting. I didn't even know Key had any offspring. On a whim, you take another look at the photograph of a young teenage girl you took from Laflamme's corpse. His daughter, Heather. Saved by Sheriff Key from the Sabbat. Ah. Fuck. Oh, that makes that whole plot arc hurt. Jesus. You look back to the young vampire. The Nosferatu curse treated her worse than most. Her hair is gone except for a few errant gray strands twisting through a bold pate littered with oozing open sores. Her nose is twisted and distorted into a parody of a human face. Her cheeks are blotchy and covered with whiskers. And yet, that impish smile. You look back at the photo. It's her. It's definitely her. Does she know what just happened to her father? Did Laflamme know what she became after Key saved her? The mercenaries' riot gear covered most of their distinguishing features. In all likelihood, she doesn't even know he was just killed. Hello, Adia. Oh man, 2 new people this stream. Welcome, welcome. Did I say that right? Adia? Who is saying this? It gives me 2 whole paragraphs about 3 different people. And then it just throws a dialogue in without any orator. What? It sounds like Fade, honestly, which isn't even mentioned anywhere in this. There's me, Key, and the girl. But it sounds like Fade is talking, which is just like, all right, fine. I'm going to assume it's Fade. We're being a bit sentimental, don't you think? The Merc was just doing what he was paid to do. And Key saved the girl. No need to get involved and screw everything up. Game says, figure it out. You'll be fine. Let's let Key decide. If he is her sire, they have, I don't know. Interesting. Then this girl once had 2 dads and now just has 1. There you go, Key. You pull the sewer rat aside. Oh, Jesus Christ, you pull the sewer rat aside. Key, you're a fucking sewer rat. You pull Key aside and show him the photo. Is that her? You ask quietly, shifting your eyes to indicate the young sewer rat. You spoke to him before the fighting. You nod. He told me you saved him and his daughter, but he never said what happened to you. What happened to her. God, I read shame on you, Jasper. Man. Oh, I'm just like mixing sentences together. That's because he didn't know, Key said. The girl was tortured by the Sabbat. By the time we made it out of the pit, I knew she wasn't gonna make it. As far as I knew, as far as he knew, fuck me up. Oh, dyslexia day. As far as he knew, I took her away from medical care. She writes to him every month, and he's stayed to fight for me ever since. Damn shame losing him. Well, that's the tragedy of mortal lives. They end. So do ours, Key. So do ours if we're not careful. Really? Oh, do I? Damn. When was that? It's been a few months. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't remember that recently. God, I would hope my memory's not that bad. Shouldn't we tell her? You ask. Key shakes his head. She's had to develop thick skin, literally as well as figuratively. But it's been a process that I'd rather not interrupt. Let's keep her believing that she has a touchstone in the mortal world. Look at that clever use! Oh, meta! Oh! It's a clever little reference you wouldn't get unless you play the game. In the actual game, the tabletop, when you create your vampire character, you're supposed to come up with a few different humans throughout your character's life from when they were still a human that are referred to as touchstones. And they will be like key development points, probably in your character arc. And for your vampire, they're what kind of root them back to their mortal world. And if something happens to your touchstone in the tabletop game, if your touchstone dies or you fall out of contact, if something happens to them, you lose a lot of humanity. So keeping your touchstones alive and well and kind of like keeping contact with them is how you keep your humanity high. And usually when they start dying off is when vampires become more monstrous. So it's a clever little reference that they put this in here. Let's keep her believing that she has a touchstone in the mortal world. Keep her humanity high. Nice. What am I playing? I am playing, it's a text-based adventure game, but this one is set in the world of Vampire the Masquerade, which is kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, except it's all just vampires, and it's in the modern day. It's got a lot of lore and shit behind it that if you don't know, don't worry. Just care more about the story. She needs it. He takes the photo from you and slips it into his coat pocket. Thank you for coming to me about this first. Carry on, then. I will. Yeah, I had a feeling it would not go over well at all with Key if we had just gone straight to her. Lang clears his throat noisily. Shall we go, then? He runs his hand through his closely shorn, blonde hair. I guess I never had an idea of what he looked like. And they come away streaked with blood. Run his hands, okay, both of them. He scrapes what he can into an empty vial, and Key photographs, Jesus Christ, as Key photographs the teleportation circle. Hands behind your back, Key says, producing a pair of heavy-duty handcuffs from a pouch at his waist. I assure you that won't be necessary, Sheriff, Lang says, quirking an eyebrow in what you'd almost mark as amusement. It wasn't a request. As you wish. Hands forced behind his back awkwardly, Lang marches ahead of Key back into the sewers. Keeping anchored to the life. Rebuilding bonds. Yeah. Losing that would be very heavy. Yes. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, so the game, it has a whole, I don't think it's a whole chapter, but it's definitely a big section in the, creating your character part that talks about your touchstones and their importance and their effect on your humanity. To the surface. Somewhere in Ottawa, a building is burning. You can smell it in the air the moment you emerge from the manhole into a cramped concrete niche east of Capitol Hill behind the canal. The French word canal. Someone under Key's influence in the police force must have called ahead because the area surrounding your exit is cornered off. Cordoned off. What? Cordoned off. With officers blocking foot traffic and a cruiser waiting to pick up the sheriff and his prisoner. Key's nostrils flare as he breathes in deeply, eyeing the skyline. 5, 6 blocks away at the most, he mutters, face grimmed. I'll be damned, Fade says. Lang was telling the truth. The Rideau Canal. Oh, thank you. That makes sense. Rideau. Not Rideau. Rideau. I warned you, Lang says as one of the mercenaries helps into the back of the police seat. You see, Sheriff? He says. I only have your best interests at heart. I don't believe that, Lang. But you didn't lie this time. Smoke. You don't think Lang was telling the truth, do you? What is it? What is he talking about? Oh my god! Oh, losing brain cells left and right. Was this entire hunt just a distraction? Come on, what is this shit? What? Well, actually, fair point, right? Might have been. Why is Lang getting handcuffed? Because we found him in a basement with all the other Tremere that tried to kill us, except he was chained up to the wall and clearly draining his blood to do experiments on. But he was still in the same basement as the other Tremere, so not too sure what's going on there. I'm not sure. I guess I'll go with the first one. It's not either the first or the third. I'll check the first one, though. For once in his miserable existence, Key mutters. You follow him up to street level, the canal at your back. You may not be able to see the source of the flames, but the twisting trail of billowing smoke, lit by a nearby full moon, tells the story clearly enough. Elysium is burning. Next chapter. Bad mod boy. Yeah, it's a very amusing... Oh, yeah, let's not restart the chapter. A very amusing coincidence of name. Chapter 8, Scrutiny. We probably actually coming up towards the end of the game. I think there's only 11 chapters. That's what happens when you talk for reverse sphincters. You've lost count of the number of times your fellow kindred have cracked jokes about sleeping like the dead. But when you wake as the sun sets, you feel the idiom easily defines the day's dreamless passage. If you didn't know any better, you'd think only minutes had gone by, even though you can feel the physical effects of your slumber renewing your body as you rise. You swing your feet out from your coffin and stand, stretching out the muscles in your back with an uncomfortable snapping and popping. Maybe you're wrong and you did dream. Because if you didn't, that means Elysium truly did burn. Gerard greets you from behind his desk as you leave the bedroom. Good evening, Master. It's easy to see in his face that he is deeply disturbed. Is it true what the messengers are saying? About Elysium, you ask. Gerard nods and you groan. You still hadn't quite given up hope that it was a dream after all. It looked like it, you say. But we didn't have time to investigate last night. By the time we got out of the sewers, it was almost dawn. Who fucked with Gerard? I don't think anybody fucked with Gerard. I think he's okay. Yeah, it's about the news. No. I fear tonight... it's Gerard. I fear tonight won't be any less eventful, Gerard says. The sheriff wants you to join him on site to help figure out what happened. And don't forget about the Archon. A potential masquerade breach at this level will draw her like a moth to the flame. Fade steps out of your bedroom, lurching forward in a full-bodied stretch, mouth agape with a thunderous yawn. Oh, can't we get a moment of peace around here? Would it really be that boring to spend a night sitting in a nice, fancy recliner reading a book about troubles worse than our own? Just once? I fucking wish. I wish. That sounds a lot better than joining the sheriff at what's left of Elysium. Maybe you should stay home then, Fade. No, gotta bring Fade with us. He's fascinating. I feel like we missed a whole Fade arc. I feel like as the Malkavians, we could have talked a lot more to Ophelia, but all the like weird Fade shit that was going on is kind of gone. We've not had any more dreams about him since then. Feels like we're sassing him. Yeah. We can't just brush this off, Fade. If we don't show up, we're going to look guilty as hell. You know what? Why not? Why not? It does feel like we're sassing him. Maybe I will, Fade says. Would suit me just fine. He pauses. Then again, I'm pretty sure I stop existing when you move too far away, so maybe I'll stick with you. Wait, you say. You stop existing? Fade shrugs. No idea, really. How would I even know if I wasn't there to see it happen? You know that makes no sense, right? Makes sense to me. You shake your head. Sassing is always such a good option. Romancing your own psychosis. Yeah, we'd have to try. You shake your head and turn back to Gerard. Did anything happen while we slept? Mortal investigations? The man has the grace not to inquire about your one-sided conversation with yourself. He's more than used to it by now. It's got to be an anime plotline somewhere, I'm sure it is. Gerard shakes his head. The last thing... Oh, whoops, this is Gerard. The last thing the sheriff did before retiring for the day was forbid law enforcement from entering the building. It's suspicious, but far less damaging than mortal authorities digging through Elysium unsupervised. I'll get going, you say, despite the dread you feel in the pit of your stomach. You must admit to a morbid curiosity. Let me know if you hear any other relevant chatter or on non-affiliated mortal networks. We don't want this getting out of control. Already on it, Gerard says. I'll update you if I find anything. Mindfuck. You grab your coat, remembering at the last minute to strap your holster beneath it, where it will remain hidden from the general public. You take your last burner phone, too, just in case. Normally, you'd be required to surrender your weapons when entering Elysium. But somehow you don't think that will be an issue tonight. Do we need to feed? No. We'll skip feeding. The road outside Elysium is cordoned off. I've literally never heard that word before. Unless I've just misheard it every time. Cordoned off with reams of yellow and black police tape. And a small herd of mortals have crowded around at regular intervals, talking amongst themselves as they speculate about what must have happened late last night. A quick glance up the building's mirrored face confirms what you already knew. The windows of the Elysium floor have been blown out, and the pavement is littered with a liberal peppering of broken glass. Someone must have known about the hunt last night. No one would have dared such a brazen attack on the heart of Ottawa's kindred society unless they knew that the heaviest hitters were off the table for the night. "This is a mess," Fade says. He stares up along the length of the building. "No hiding this from the mortal press, at least not completely. I don't envy Key. He'll need to do some serious logical backflips to explain this in a way that satisfies the media." You spot Key at the front door, so an inside job. Yeah, I have no doubt the Anarchs are like balls deep in us at this point. You spot Key at the front door giving orders to one of his officers as he ties his long, dark hair back in a ponytail. It's almost enough to make you gawk. You don't think you've ever seen the sheriff do such a thing, but you manage to keep from embarrassing yourself. For years, you've heard the rumors of the unnatural scarring on Key's neck, evidence of what remains of his Nosferatu curse. But on closer examination, you're disappointed to find a tightly wrapped black scarf hiding any offending marks that might have otherwise been on display. Hello, Casey. Oh, gotta go. Thanks for stopping by. I wouldn't have expected this to be a day Key tried his hand at fashion, Fade says. Then again, I guess investigating the burning of Elysium is a pretty good excuse to get yourself seen. Why not? He shrugs. Ah, Silas. Shame it isn't Key. Yeah, I know. I'm so sad we missed that romance. Look, he's literally... Him and Luca are almost tied for the highest reputation with us. It's a little bullshit that we might even be locked out of fucking Luca's. I don't know when Luca's romance will happen. Ugh. Whew. Disappointing. We'll see. I'll be very upset if we're locked out of Luca's romance. I'm gonna head upstairs. Oh, scratching the scarf at his neck absently. If either of you find anything interesting, let me know. If either of you... Who? Oh, whoops. Shit. I went to the next page. Ah, Silas. He greets you as you approach the front door. He lowers his voice and waves you inside where you won't be overheard by mortal ears. We've evacuated every floor of the building and kept the crime scene clear of interference. I managed to smuggle Bouchard up there through a service entrance. He and Vivian joined my people on a sweep. And Luca should be just about done checking the surveillance footage. Vivian's here, you ask, surprised. It's been a while since you'd seen the Primogen. She seemed largely recovered when you saw her at the council after her crucifixion, but you hadn't expected her to be here sifting through the remnants of a terrorist attack on Elysium. I'm as surprised as you are, Key admits, but I shouldn't have been. She always had uncanny insight into everything going on in this city, even when she has no means or business to know about it. I couldn't exactly deny her. She's a Primogen. She has as much right to Elysium as any other kindred. That, and you don't want her to cause a scene. Luca cuts in, emerging from a small, unmarked door behind the security desk. Nothing unusual on the recordings, she says, but there was evidence of remote tampering. Whoever it was covered the tracks well. With enough time, I might be able to track down an approximate location. But they'll have moved on by then. Stupid politics cock-blocking again. Of course. Key scratches. Key grumbles, scratching at his scarf. scratching the scarf at his neck absently. I'm gonna head upstairs. If either of you find anything interesting, let me know. I don't think there's anything Luca missed. Let's not insult her like that. Let's just try to spend time with Luca. Are any of those mortals standing around outside workers from the building? Residents, maybe. Maybe I could interview them and see if they noticed anything. I'll come upstairs with you. It seems like all our bases are covered, and a little extra time looking around upstairs might cover something they'd otherwise miss. Why not? Let's not talk to the people outside. I don't like that so much. Yeah, Luca says. The scene's dead. The scene down here's dead anyways. Anything interesting that happened went on upstairs. The only other thing I could think of was the security feeds, and that was a huge waste of time. She flashes you a sly smile. Glad you decided to stick with me. Maybe I'll make it worth your while. Maybe it's not gone. Key remains awkwardly silent during the ride up. If he knows something that you and Luca don't, he's not saying. Has there been any sign of Alicia? Luca asks, breaking the quiet as the elevator hums, nearing your destination. Do we know if she was here when the attack happened? Hard to know for sure, Key replies. He seems distracted, caught up in his own thoughts. But it's likely. If she wasn't here, she would have been storming the building by now, demanding answers. That's how she operates. This place was her baby, if anyone was going to take it down. He trails off awkwardly, mid-thought, absently drumming his fingers along the grip of his gun. The elevator chimes a polite musical note as the doors crack open, revealing the charred remains of Elysium, chased by the stench of burnt flesh. Oh dear, Wyvern. Just you wait. It'll come out sometime this evening. I am not 100% done, but I am close. I am close to being done with it. Just adding in like the final sound effects while you're playing D&D. Key's people must have had to move them to get inside. You think for a moment, trying to wrap your mind around the scene. All these dead kind. There must have been a rush for the elevator, but they were caught in the blast before the doors opened. God damn it. Fade grunts. Roasted, toasted, and burnt to a crisp. Such wasteful death. The three of you break up into individual expeditionary parties, browsing through the areas less affected by the attack. The back half of the floor escaped most of the direct concussive blast from the bombing, although it's been damaged by smoke and some exposed metals have been warped by the heat. Unfortunately for Elysium's guests, their distance from the explosion likely only prolonged their suffering. You step over the twisted body of a mortal whose skin has been scoured by burns, though if you had to hazard a guess as to the nature of his death, you'd err on the side of suffocation, while fire rampaged from room to room, billowing toxic smoke. Way too loud. I'll have to check. I don't think I've read the comments on that recently. Yes, Strahd is making a comeback. Don't check them. No, don't do it. Oh dear. For the first few minutes, your efforts lead to nothing but disappointment, at least until you crawl beneath a fallen piece of sheetrock, bringing you face to face with a cowering young woman too afraid to look you in the eye. She tries to pull away, gritting her teeth as clothing shifts on her body with a wet, ripping sound. Her tight-fitting red top has been fused to her skin in uneven patches, held in place by weeping burn wounds. She holds her hands over her face as if she's trying to hide from you, streaking her cheeks in smoke-stained blonde hair, with bloody soot. What have we here? Fate asks. A witness. Let's try to be comforting, right? Being, if they're cowering away, being aggressive will not help. Why are you hiding? No. Tell me what happened, I'll make sure you get out of here safely. Yeah, let's do that. Let's try that. It's okay. Are you one of them? The woman whispers as you kneel down beside her. A single eye pokes out from behind her fingers, wild and darting this way and that as she takes in the entirety of her situation from within the safety of her upheld palms. I don't want to die. No one's going to hurt you. You try to soothe her. You won't get anything out of her until she thinks she's safe. Were you a prisoner here? What? She stutters. Of course not. I've been coming to the club for weeks now. The owners didn't do this. It was... She goes quiet again, eyes you closely, sweeping a long, twisted strand away from her face. Does she think you're one of the people who attacked, coming to silence her? You're feeling some type of way at that point. I'm one of the club's regulars. You may have seen me here before. I assure you, I know what I'm doing. Well, sure. Well, that's kind of true. Why the fuck would I be here? I'm with the police. We're here to help whoever we can track down the terrorists that did this. Anything you can remember. That's probably the most true, right? Key is the police. We are here with Key. This isn't really a lie. I'm just a consultant. No, I'm with the police. It's not technically a lie. Sheriff Key governs the majority of the police force from behind the scenes. Even if he's not the chief the mortals believe is in charge. Figureheads always have a role to play in maintaining the masquerade. You don't look like you're with the police, she says. But I suppose you wouldn't be up here if you weren't. True, good, true. It looks like she's starting to relax. It's hard for you to imagine what it must have been like for her, hiding in this collapsed room all day, terrified that she'd be found by a group of terrorists. She's hanging on by a thread, Fade says. Whatever you're going to do, you'd better do it soon. I'm gonna get you out of here, okay? I'm going to get you out of here into some medical care, okay? You say, hoping to sound comforting. What's your name? She takes her hand and pulls herself up unsteadily to her feet. I think that's Michaela. That's a very strange Michaela? Michaela? Very strange way of spelling it. I don't think I've seen that before. I'll say Michaela. I'm Michaela. Can we go now? She tries to pick out a dress strap where it is fused to her shoulder and a shiver runs down her back when she's unable to remove it. Of course. You say, I just need you to answer a quick question first. You don't want to keep her long. The woman clearly needs to go to a hospital as soon as possible, but you also can't give up the opportunity to question one of the only known survivors of the attack. Damn thirst trap. I need you to try to the face of the terrorists. Sounds of voices. Let's go with that. She might not have seen anything. Close your eyes and try to focus on the sounds or voices. Why not? Does anything stand out? Does anything they say stand out? As long as I don't have to remember what it looked like. I think I can do that. Michaela looks down. Sorry, I was reading ahead. I gotta stop doing that. Looks down at the floor and closed her eyes. You wait patiently for her to recall anything relevant to your investigation. But after almost 2 minutes of silence, your patience starts to run out. Michaela, you ask. Still with me? Yes, she whispers. I remember what the man said when he first arrived. Ignore their herd. We aren't here for the mortals. I think he was in charge. Did you get a look at his face? The recalled words already betray the assault as a kindred attack, but if she can give you anything else... She shakes her head. That's when I turned and ran. I hid for a while, but I never saw who the man was. She shakes her head. That's the best I can do, I'm sorry. Her gaze snaps to a location behind you, where you duck through into the collapsed room. And who do we have here? A familiar voice calls from the other side of the fallen sheetrock. I hear voices. VtM the Bitch Meyer pushes the debris out of the way with a strength that belies her lithe feminine frame. She steps forward, grimacing as she dusts her hands and sweeps an errant piece of crumbling drywall from her bone-white suit's crisp lapel. VtM, you exclaim. Her sudden appearance has caught you and Fate off guard. I found a survivor. Her name's Michaela. You pause to look down at the injured woman. We should probably get her to a hospital as soon as we can. She's been burned badly. The poor thing. VtM sweeps down towards the cowering woman in a graceful arc, a white dove lighting gently upon a molted field of red, latching on with tiny talons. A grip much too strong for a gossamer creature. We'll have you mended in no time, my dear, VtM says. She cranes her neck down to look into Michaela's eyes. You've decided to come with me. You feel safe by my side. She stands abruptly with a sharp jerk, all sense of grace abandoned in the interest of expediency. Michaela rises with a similar fashion. You'll take her to the hospital. She breathed in a lot of smoke and those burns look serious. Fucking VtM the bitch. God, oh. It's not my fault. I can't be expected. I has the dumb, unapologetically thirsty. That's good. There should only be one of those. And it should be everywhere, I think. I didn't delete that. Oh, I don't trust you, VtM. I don't fucking trust you at all. You didn't have to do that, VtM. What the fuck is going on? She was cooperating. Come on. And now she's happier about it, VtM says, flashing a momentary fake smile. Do chin up, child. We're all on the same side here. I'll make sure your little pet is well looked after. Pet? Michaela asks. What did you mean by that? Oh, yeah, it might have been tweaked a little bit. You should be able to find it on, my big list of everything. Yeah. Yeah, if you go to my big long, like, Google Drive, Google Docs, that's it, Google Docs sheet of everything I've made, it should be one of the, I think the second one under, I can look really fast. I am like 95% sure it's there, though. Let me check. Big old audio master list. Go down to the curse, and then... Yeah, it's called A Familiar Introduction. That's probably why. I used that's like the story name. The name you found it under was the one that I used just to try to, like, attract people's attention. But that's the story name for it. Yeah. It's there, though. Maybe I should put a little AKA. That was one of my most popular ones. To get people in. Yeah, it's, I don't know. Most people would not click on something called a familiar introduction. It just doesn't tell you what it is at all. I have a YouTube, I like the YouTube name. Yeah, I think that was also the YouTube name. But yeah, the duplicating shade was the Reddit and elsewhere. I could put a little AKA. That is probably the most popular one I've made. So if people are looking and trying to find it again, they won't know where it went. Worry not, Vivian says, draping an arm around her shoulder while leading her away toward the elevator. Are we really just... Oh, whoops, this is Fate. Are we really just going to let her take a witness away from us like that? Fate asks. You shake your head. There isn't much you can do aside from openly denying the will of a primogen, given the volatility of the situation. You'd rather not volunteer yourself for the executioner's block. Oh, shit. Gotta put it back, thanks. Whew. Here we are. Oh, no worries. Silas! Luke calls out from calls to you from one of the discreet feeding rooms on the other side of the main hall. Come here for a second. You follow her voice and brush aside the charred and twisted strands of what used to be reflective metal beads, obscuring the going-ons within the intimate nook. You seeing what I'm seeing here? She steps back, revealing a body that got missed by the brunt of the blast. His chest is riddled with ragged puncture wounds. Either the killer got carried away with got extremely carried away with a large knife, or this is the work of a vampire's claws. Well, that first one shouldn't be completely dismissed if this wasn't a world of vampires, because usually when people die from like a knifing, it says some wild shit like, you know, when someone dies of a gunshot, they're like, they were shot in the head 3 times. But knife, it's like, they were stabbed 128 times and crawled to safety. Like, what? What? How fucking many? Ugh. Anyways, Jesus. Looks like he was clawed to death. If I had to guess, this is one of the ward's gangrel anarchs. The feral isn't the only kindred who can grow claws, but I've never met anyone able to do something like this with just their hands. It's obvious. It looks like they left a calling card. Don't you think it's a bit too convenient? Well, that is a good point. They tore up the body in rags. Yeah, I'm tempted to go with a second. It is obvious, right? Yeah. Luca stays quiet for a moment, grinding her teeth in frustration. You sure know how to take the wind out of my sails, Silas. Oh, but you're right. We should be a little more critical about how we look at this. A vaguely familiar voice catches you off guard just from outside the nook. Silas, I'd like to speak with you in private. Oh, fuck. Adeline has arrived. You don't have much of a choice but to do as she asks. Luca cocks her head to the side, and you mouth the word Archon. She flinches slightly before catching herself and nodding, then turns back and busies herself examining the corpse. Great, Fade says. The all-powerful Archon wants to speak with us in private. I am sure this will go well. Adeline taps her foot impatiently as you sweep aside the melted beadwork and join her in the hall. The Archon is nearly swallowed up by a well-worn olive-green military jacket and a dark pork pie hat snugged tightly on her head. If you didn't know any better, you'd think she was an eccentric mortal who arrived in Elysium completely by accident. Those piercing eyes, though. There's no mistaking the power behind them. Trauma ER things. Oh dear. What can I do for you? You ask. Come with me, she says, not waiting on a response before turning her back and leading you through Elysium's myriad social areas, eventually turning down a smaller hallway meant for the staff. She stops and sniffs the air, frowning in distaste. At least half of the hall has been reduced to the stumps of charred wood and rubble, slashed with coarse rebar scorched black in the blast. This is where they set the primary charges, she says. Even if I couldn't smell the Semtex, the conclusion is obvious. She rolls the melted husk of a desktop computer tower over with one foot. The motherboard and memory modules have been reduced to slag. Tell me, why is your sire not overseeing this investigation? The question is not what you expected, and it catches you by surprise. You cast about in your mind for Fade, hoping for advice, but you come up empty. Did he flee from the Archon's presence? Or is the powerful vampire able to dominate your attention so that you're no longer able to concentrate hard enough to converse with your other half? Fade is not my other half, come on. He's a part of me. In a meaningful way. The thought terrifies you, and suddenly you feel deeply alone. You have no choice but to answer Adeline's questions. I know, why does everyone... Well, usually the sire is a bit more informative, but Corliss has been a sneaky bitch. More and more as the game goes on. I defend Corliss. No, I don't. I blame Corliss. Corliss hasn't been keeping up with events these last few weeks. A lack of leadership in Arundel's absence allows attacks like these to continue happening. Ooh. I have no idea. I came here as soon as I could after waking for the evening. That's the truth. I don't think she'll like it. But let's go with it. Why not? Oh! No opinions of your own? Adeline asks, lips pressed together in what could almost be described as a pout. I thought you were different from the rest of these lick-splittles. Perhaps I was wrong. With respect, Archon, you say, before thinking better of it, I possess personal opinions, but without the data to back them up, they're uninformed and not worthy of mention. How very stoic of you. Adeline says. She chuckles in spite of herself. A proper prince would be here overseeing the investigation of such an attack personally. In past nights, my masters and I would be inclined to allow local Camarilla to govern their cities as they see fit, but these are extraordinary times. We cannot suffer blatant masquerade violations in the era of the Second Inquisition. She straightens her unusual hat until it rests in perfect symmetry above her brow. And these people act like they are political masterminds. I know. Something must be done. But I have no interest in change for the sake of change. I need to know that the decisions I make will breed the desired effect. Breed? You wonder where she's going and why she's telling you, of all people. What is our relation with Adeline, 28? Did that go down? I don't know. Hello, Carrie. Good morning. Not salty, oh dear. You've had an interesting few weeks, Silas, she says after a lengthy silence. And your nightly activities have raised more than a few eyebrows. She turns back on you and crouches down by the burnt-out desktop PC, fingers wriggling in its exposed wiring until they detach a small hard drive hidden deep within the chassis. She turns it over in her hands before pocketing it with a self-satisfied smirk. There's very little hidden beneath the surface that I can't discover. You take a nervous step backward, eyes sweeping the room for escape points. It's an instinctual reaction to a casual threat leveled at you by a vampire of such immense power. If Adeline notices, She makes no comment on it. So let's cut through the bullshit. The aggressive shift in demeanor startles you, which was likely the intended effect. I don't care who you plot with or why. Your personal struggles are far... Then why the fuck did you give such a big shit about my personal struggle? Huh? Oh, that's annoying. I don't know if that's bad writing or just bad character. Far beneath my interest to be of any significance. What I do care about is putting a lid on these masquerade breaches before you idiots bring the mortal intelligence agencies down on your head. They'll burn the capital to the ground, and I refuse to be destroyed in this place. Do you hear me? Your eyes blaze fire, and for a moment you feel as though you're being consumed in their flickering flames. So tell me what you've learned, and make me believe you. Forcing information through compulsion is an ugly and imprecise business, prone to failure. I'd rather secure your cooperation so we can get to this together, without leaving you as a simpering sack of flesh and misfiring brain matter. Yeah, she has a big fucking ego. It does feel like that. It's really... I hate that. Ugh. Dealt with too many big ego people in my life already. And I know there's more to come. Don't like them. Rattled nerves aside, the Archon is presenting you with a rare opportunity. Whatever you tell her could help direct her investigations and even take down a powerful player. Of course, if she doesn't believe you, things could get ugly very fast. I believe Corliss is doing everything she can to fix the problems. Doubt. But she's being subverted? No. Sometimes the simplest answer is the most accurate. These masquerade breaches have been caused by the Anarchs. Also starting to doubt that. I can't be sure who's behind it, but it seems like the Anarchs are being set up as convenient fall guys to take the blame. All the evidence lines up too perfectly. Corliss has been acting suspiciously for weeks now. Every time a major disaster's happened, she's been conveniently absent. Kindred are beginning to talk. That is true. Adeline purses her lips and leans back against the wall. I don't know if I'm witnessing steel courage or insanity. Coming after your sire is one thing, but when your sire is Senshaw, it's damn near suicidal. You said you wanted to cut through the bullshit. You say, trying to stay cool. If I wanted to bullshit you, I'd have come up with something that didn't put me in crosshairs. Which is precisely why I believe you. Adeline says, watching you like a hawk. You're hardly new to this game. It's been many years since you were a witless fledgling. Since Rundle's disappearance, your sire's ineptitude has resulted in the deaths of numerous kindred in her domain, multiple extravagant masquerade breaches, and the bombing of Elysium. Such things simply do not happen in a well-run city, even in times of turmoil. If this were a backwater like Tucson... Casually just shitting on the game that came out before this one. Like Tucson under Gangrel Rule. Literally a call out to the other game. My god, that is fucking hilarious. Like Tucson under Gangrel Rule. Oh my god, that is really funny. I love that. These two games are written by different people too. It's the same company, but they had different writers for them. That is hilarious. I love that. Like Tucson under Gangrel Rule. That would be one thing. But Ottawa is this country's capital. Don't you insult my Leto. Yeah, it's not under Gangrel Rule anymore. I'm pretty sure it's Nosferatu at this point. The Archon's tirade is withering and leaves little doubt to her opinion on Corliss's leadership. You wisely keep your mouth shut until Adeline gathers herself enough to ask an actual question. Tucson, Arizona. Is 9,000 times better. Probably equally as strong, too. Maybe not. Hard to tell. Where do you believe your sire's priorities lie, child? What does Eden want from the city that she can't be bothered to protect? I don't think she's been neglecting it intentionally. So much has happened that she's been forced to delegate responsibilities. Spent a great deal of time meeting with the Tremere. I believe she's negotiating their return. I think so. I think she's just looking out for herself. My god, we can be such a naive bitch. Corliss wants power. She's manipulating everyone to positions that she can either leverage or needs to wipe them from the board. Corliss has been using her as a scapegoat. Corrupted and I don't know. She has spent a lot of time meeting with Tremere. That's true. This is quite true. I myself have seen her in conference with the warlock Trevor Height on more than one occasion. An envoy from Prince Annabelle of Quebec City, if I'm not mistaken. Such a thing would not typically warrant concern or even comment, but given the recent blood hunt, the potential for conflict of interest is quite high. I appreciate you confirming my suspicions, Silas. She picks her way to the back of the room and runs her hand along the length of the wall. One wall still standing. I do try to read quickly. She'd wither. I don't know. She is very strong. You don't see it. We'll see. I saw it at the end of my other game. I didn't throw Corliss under the bus. I threw a different vampire under the bus, and she obliterated them without touching them. It was just she stared at them, and they just kind of like exploded into the sun. It was terrifying. But that's it. What other information can you offer me? Surely you've delved deeper into the matters at hand. Judgment is coming soon, Silas, and the greater of a help you are to me. Are we creeping up with Adeline? Yes, we are. Quite a great deal. Judgment is coming soon, Silas, and the greater a help you are to me, the better things will turn out for you. If I suspect you're holding something back, there will be consequences. Okay. I've had my ghoul look into Ward's personal history, with more powerful kindred in Ottawa. Ward and Rindle were quite close, apparently. Close enough that it drove a wedge between Corliss and the Prince. Let's say it. Why not? Why not? Daddy Leto. I know, I miss Daddy Leto as well. At the end of last night's, we found Heinrich Lang. Looks like the other Tremere were draining him. Oh, what if I had to pick? With enough potent blood, couldn't the remaining warlocks have been capable of the recent attacks? Fuck. Alright, let's go with that one, just in case. The Archon sniffs. The crises in this city are mounting up in such a pace that I can barely keep up with them. I received a report on last night's raid, but, as I'm sure you can imagine, the bombing of Elysium took precedence. Lang is the local chantry keeper. Literally, it's not the fucking chantry. We have one Tremere. It's not a chantry with one Tremere. I'd imagine his blood is capable of quite powerful thaumaturgy in the right hands. That being said, how do you suppose they managed to attack Elysium at the same time you were fighting off your blood hunt? Oh, well, we don't know for sure. How many of them are in the city? Most heavy-duty hitters were underground at the time, so it wouldn't take many powerful warlocks. It's fairly unlikely, but there were a few of them underground, so I doubt they had the numbers to stage an attack. But knowing they had potent blood still is noteworthy. We managed to turn all of our mortal mercenaries on each other with only a few words. I wouldn't underestimate what they can do. Why not? Why not choose that one? Let's see. I'm quite familiar with what can be accomplished through thaumaturgy and usurper rituals, Adeline says. But I also know their limits. I once worked very closely with a powerful chantry in Europe, and the things they can do with blood would make Sabbat blush. But for all their power, they aren't capable of being in two places at the same time. No, she shakes her. She shakes her head. This wasn't done by the Tremere. But it's interesting to know they had turned against Heinrich. That information is useful to me. Alright, well, that knocked us down a single point. Is there anything else you wish to tell her? Yeah, why not? Let's tell her fucking everything, if we can. Insta. Yeah, why not? Let's tell her about Corliss and the Prince. I've heard the rumors, of course, the Archon says. Rumor enough that it's been difficult sorting through truth from fable. Perhaps you've heard one of the more popular tales. It's whispered that Robert Ward and the prince were romantically involved, and that it drove your sire into a fury. I'll admit it's hard for me to imagine Eden so incensed over something so mundane as physical affection, but one can never know for sure. Mortals are herd animals, and as much as we kindred attempt to deny it, much of our humanity remains intact, holding back the beast. It sounds like you've done your research. Do you believe that Robert and Arundel were lovers before he fled the city to become an anarch? I don't see what aspect of the relationship should matter. We all know that kindred don't place the same value on sex. That does not have to be what lovers mean. I think they were either lovers or intimate, on other, more intellectual levels. I think so. Adeline muses, cupping her chin in thought. The possibility of a connection there might be worth investigating further then. Anything else? Yeah, Vivian's a fucking bitch and I hate her. Reported enough information to oppress Archon Adeline. 45%? That's not bad, I guess. That's a vague assertion, the Archon says. Are you suggesting that she wasn't actually crucified? No, you shake your head. I saw it with my own eyes. I was there with Key when we discovered her hanging there. So you believe she's taking advantage of the attack, then? I can't say I blame her. Had I been beaten into torpor and hung from my own wall, I'd want to lay low for a while, too. Circumstances were nonsensical. Has everyone forgotten that the first thing she said was Corliss? She claims she lost her memory before the attack, but immediately afterwards she was perfectly fine. The fact that she's been barely seen when there were 2 bombs should be at least considered. I don't know. We'll say that she's totally fine. If I had to guess, I'd say it was posturing. The Archon says, I would have thought you understood kindred better than this child. Ah, fuck off. Knocked back down 2 points. Oh well, who cares? It's so nice to know. Oh dear. If I had to get, yes, I would have thought it. Blah, 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 blah. It was already caught in a moment of weakness. Any elder worth their salt would do everything in their power to dispel an aura of failure as quickly as possible. Oh, whatever. No, that's about it. And consider yourself dismissed. She waves you away with an offhand gesture. When you're finally clear of the dilapidated office room, you heave a sigh of relief. Whew! I might stop there so that I can finish making this Stradio. Man, oh man, oh man. Oh. Look at this. What is my hair doing? Yeah, I might stop there. Wee woo! I think we're closing in on the end, though. Not too sure. I'd like to believe we're closing in on the end.